Hi everyone, Miss Aturian here. I wanted to go through a step-by-step example of how you would actually do a conversion. If I were to give you a specific problem with a certain amount of conversion factors. I broke it down step by step for you guys, but I wanted to start off with explaining to you exactly what a conversion factor is. So on the left side here, I gave you an idea of what that means. So a conversion factor is a number used to change one set of units to another. And so over here in this box in the middle, I gave you a list of examples of different types of conversion factors. 1 mile is the same thing as 1,609 meters. So that's a conversion factor. You're going from one set of units, that mile, over to meters. So 1 meter is the same thing as 3.3 feet. 1 meter is also the same thing as 100 centimeters. And so all of these specific examples are conversion factors. Now, I put some other facts on here on the right side. When converting, let's say from one type of unit to another, it's easier to actually put these conversion factors that I have written in a list here into fraction form. This makes it easier for you to do the math and be able to see what types of units can cancel out. Now, for each of these conversion factors, there are actually two different ways the fraction can be written, okay? So this one up top right here, I'm gonna do an example of. So 1 mile is 1,609 meters. There's actually two ways you can write this in fraction form. So I wrote it right here. So how to change a conversion to fraction form. So I will always give you these conversion factors listed like it is on the top, but it's up to you to know how to turn it into fraction form. Now, it's actually pretty easy. Once you get it in one fraction, the other one is really simple. You just flip everything around. So 1 mile is the same thing as 1,609 meters, right? So it's the same thing as saying, is 2 the same number as 2? Yeah, they are. And so if you were to write 2 divided by 2 in fraction form, if you were to simplify that, that equals 1. Well, the same thing happens here, and that's why you can write this in fraction form. So 1 mile is the same exact thing as 1,609 meters. So we can write it in this fraction form right here. But if we were to flip it and have the meters unit on top and the miles on the bottom, it's still the same thing. So this is one of the ways, or this is the way that you would put a conversion factor given to you automatically, like on a test or a quiz, how you would turn it into a fraction. Now, let's actually do a conversion problem. So these are the general steps. I listed them all in one slide for you so that you could have it easily accessible, but I've gone through step by step on the coming slides. Step 1, figure out what information you know that the problem has given you, and then what information you want. Step 2, decide which conversion factor or factors, sometimes you need more than one, you're gonna need to get from the units you know to the units you want. So we'll get to that in a sec. And then you're going to put each of those conversion factors that you use or that you need into two different fractions, just like we did in the last slide. Step 3, set up the problem with what you know and add those conversions in. And then step 4 is the last one. Make into one huge fraction, simplify, then solve. So here's an example. Let's say I want you to convert 2,380 minutes to hours. So step 1, figure out what information you know and what you want to know. So in this question up here, we know we have 2,380 minutes. So I'm going to put that here, okay? What do we want to know? We want to know how many hours that is. So I put that there. That's a pretty easy one. Next step. Over here, I said for step 2, decide which conversion factors you will need to get from the units that you know, like the minutes, to the units that you want, which we want hours. And then put each of those conversion factors you need into those two fractions. Now, On the left side, this box right here that I have all these lists of conversion factors, remember, I always give those to you. You don't have to memorize them, but you have to know which one you need for the problem that you're trying to solve. So if we're trying to go from minutes all the way to hours, let's look down this list and see which one of these conversion factors has that combination of minutes and hours. So this is miles, meters, no. Meters, feet, meters, centimeters, no. Feet to inches, no. Hours to minutes, or same thing, minutes to hours. So this is the one that we're looking for here, all right? Now on the next slide, I show you what to do with it. So you take this conversion factor that was given to you, and then you put it in fraction form. So look, 1 hour equals 60 minutes, right? So I put 1 hour over 60 minutes. And then remember, there's two ways to do the fractions. So, or 60 minutes over 1 hour, because they're the same thing. Now, next step. Set up the problem with what you know, and then add the conversion factors in afterwards. And you're always going to be multiplying, okay? So remember, we knew this, 2,380 minutes. We gave that in the beginning of the problem. And if you notice, I put it in this like parentheses fraction form. That helps keep things organized because that's how you write your conversion factors. So do the exact same with how you start the problem. Now, I also put over 1. This also helps keep things organized. And so it lessens the likelihood that you'll make a mistake when doing the math. And also, when we get to have numbers and units down here, when we get to more complicated problems, you're going to have some other stuff here. But anyways, you start off with that. You start off with what you know, and then we start multiplying with our conversion factors. This is that conversion from the last step that we used. Now, look what I wrote here. I said, wait, how did you decide which fraction to use from step 2? Well, this is where your thinking comes in a little bit. I gave you some hints here. I said, you can use the one that helps you cancel out the units you want to get rid of, which makes sense. I'm trying to get rid of the minutes to get to the hours eventually, right? So look what happened. Look what I wrote here. I said, what helps cancel numbers and units out in a fraction? Would you be able to cancel a unit out by multiplying it or dividing it? And so use your common sense here for this one. If you multiply stuff, there becomes more of it. So that's not what we want. We want to get rid of it. And so here, we're wanting to get rid of this minutes here. If we were to divide it by another set of minutes, you end up having those canceled. So I wrote here in this example, what is minutes divided by minutes? What's minutes times minutes? Which one of those would help you get rid of that minutes unit? And for here, it's going to be dividing. Now, I'm going to keep working on this. I think step 4 is my last one where I show you all my work, okay? Now, step 4, make into one huge fraction, simplify, then solve. So I rewrote what I had in the last slide for you right up here, and then I put it in one humongous fraction. And this is something that I think becomes personal preference for you. I prefer doing it like this because it helps me cancel things out. But if you look here, I took this entire this entire problem up here and basically chunked it in one massive fraction. And so if you notice, minutes divided by minutes, they cancel out. And so I keep simplifying, and then eventually I get all the way down here where I have 2,380 hours, because our minutes canceled, divided by 60. And so if you do the math here, if you do that divided by that, you get 39.66 hours. So at the end of this, 2,380 minutes is the same exact thing as 39.66 hours. Yikes. All right, my little boo-boos, I am all done. I hope this helps make a little more sense of how to do conversions. There definitely are trickier ones that involve multiple steps where you don't just need one conversion factor, but you may need a few. There are times where I may also ask you to convert multiple things in a problem, but this is where you would start off. If you know how to get through these steps with just one simple conversion, That means you have all the tools you need to be able to do incredibly massive conversion problems. All right. Okay, my little ones, I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you soon.